My son speaks German, Spanish, English, Japanese, Chinese, and Russian. My son was nonverbal until last year. Huh? You're overthinking and being remedial. My son was initially nonverbal. He made sounds, but no actual words. His first word was eventually apple when he was still a baby, but after that, he stopped speaking altogether and just made noises. For most of his 7 years, he didn't speak. It wasn't until last June that he started speaking clearly in multiple language through echolalia and scripting. Before that, it sounded like babble. Initially, I thought he was just making sounds. I didn't know he was speaking other languages. That's how his speech developed. I don't delete dumb comments, I delete trolls. If you're confused, just ask. I'll clarify. Sad part is, guys, I think she actually believes that. Hey guys, and welcome back for a very long awaited video. Your girl's been MIA for like probably a month. I haven't made a video, and that's terrible, right? It's been a lot going on. We had a trip to Washington, D.C. for a week. I had a kid birthday. I just found out a few months ago that I'm pregnant with my fourth kid, and the three I already have are all under 5. So as you can imagine, your girl's been busy. So I haven't had a lot of time for YouTube. Today, this was a little hard to ignore. I was surfing the web like I do, and I ran into an old YouTuber, a fellow YouTuber. This lady, she used to go by the name Sansaray, but after failing miserably at a relationship and then being completely humiliated by her child's father, she had to kind of go under a new identity. She pretended to die, essentially, and then she came back to life. She was resurrected like Jesus. And she came back as Black Macho. Okay, I don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean, but your guess is probably as good as mine. The link will be in the description if the video is even going to still be up by the time this is up. We're going to watch this very hypocritical statement that's about to happen. And the reason I brought it up is because, well, a plethora of reasons. Number one, I'm a mom. And I don't think that it's a problem to show your children on social media. I mean, if it's a part of your life and your life is on social media, then your children are going to be a part of it, right? But to exploit your children in any way, shape, or form, I think is very wrong. And I want to say that that's what I believe this woman is doing. She is claiming that her son is a level 3 autistic child, which apparently is very high on the spectrum of autism, meaning he may need help for the rest of his life, I guess, I'm assuming. But I don't know. I mean, she only shows so much of the child, and we see so little of his true behavior. But this is a claim that she made in the video today. And we're just going to point out these inconsistencies because I know this woman is mentally ill and will never address anything that anyone brings up. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about it on this channel of what not to do as a parent, okay? So if you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave me a comment and tell me what you think. Oh, and by the way, the link, like I said, will be in the description, but please don't go to her channel and leave any mean-spirited comments. That's not what we're here for.
So we were just sitting down talking about how much he's changed in the 3-week period he's been at the new school he's at. And we were talking about next year, 2nd grade, stuff like that. And next year, I'm just going to try to do the whole summer to try to prepare him for 2nd grade. We were talking about linguistics. Like, my son speaks a couple of different languages, right? He speaks English, Spanish, German, Russian, English, Spanish, German, Russian, Chinese, and Japanese.
I'm just going to stop her really quick because that's an important statement to address. She said that her son, who is, like she said, in the 1st grade going to the 2nd, speaks German, Russian, English, Spanish, Chinese, and Japanese. I think that's, 6, 7 languages she just named off? Now, let's continue.
And right now he's doing a lot of scripting and echolalia, right? And so what scripting and echolalia is, what scripting is basically you're just repeating a sentence that you were taught. It kind of like prompts, like how you would prompt, ChatGPT or something, to get a certain type of response, because ChatGPT has a certain level of, responses they can give you, considering how it was programmed. So with my son, it's kind of the same. It's almost like he's a robot or a computer or something, and you have to give my son a prompt. So you have to give him scripts to be able to answer certain questions. And the way that he learns is very different from the average kid. Now, he was nonverbal until last year sometimes, so it's almost like...
And that's where it really effed me up. She said, and he was nonverbal up until last year. So your son went from speaking in no way, shape, or form, okay, up until last year, which means by what, 6 years old, the kid couldn't speak a word. But now, all of a sudden, now he's 7 and he can speak 6 languages. And mind you, this part you probably can't see too clear. It says, help me pay for my hotel room. Or Cash App is money sign for Somo. And underneath it, it says autism advocate and mom. And that's why the background looks the way it does, because essentially she's in her hotel room. And, no judgment here. Homelessness, I believe in a lot of cases, not all, definitely not all, but in a lot of cases it's by choice because of poor choices a person has made in their life. They ended up homeless. So, obviously if you're in your mid 40s and you're homeless, there were some decisions that were made incorrectly in your life. Let's just call it what it is. And you have your child with you and he has autism, and you're asking for your members and watchers to donate to you. And if you guys feel it in your heart to do it, hey, go ahead, because apparently she needs it. Me personally, I won't be doing it. I've got 3 mouths of my own to feed and 1 on the way, so I'm definitely not going to be helping another mom out when I've got a truckload of kids to take care of myself. But if you feel it in your heart, feel free to do so. And I'm not trying to stop anyone from doing that. I'm just trying to say, how does one who is struggling to keep a roof over their head have time to teach a child that was nonverbal for the first 6 years of his life 7 languages in a matter of a year? And that's just, it just sounds nearly impossible. Who is your son, Rain Man or something? Are you trying to say that he's autistic, or is he on some level of genius? At this point, this literally makes no sense. And this is why people have, for many years, pointed out the contradictions of Miss Sansaray, and also pointed out the fact that she comes off a little mentally ill. Not even a little, a lot at this point. Your son's autistic. We got that. She also mentions in this video, if we watch a little further, that she is working on getting him to the point where he can, be fully potty trained. So he's 7, and unfortunately still not fully potty trained. And he can speak 7 languages though. You know what I mean? I don't know what that's about. Do you really want help for your autistic son? Or are you trying to be boastful and make it seem like your kid is some kind of super genius? What is it here, man? What is happening? I don't understand that. If you're looking for sympathy, don't lie. If you want people to care, don't sit there and lie, because it makes people wonder if anything that you're saying at this point is true. The fact that you so-called died 7 years ago and now you're alive again, and you just rename your channel, you think that people are just supposed to forget everything that happened all those years ago. And I wish I could find the videos of her talking to Tommy Sotomayor, because those were some interesting conversations, because he got into the nitty gritty of it back then when she was actually going through, the pregnancy with this particular child in question. Apparently the father was a married man that was separated from his wife, and he ended up dating her, and they supposedly moved in together in a hotel, and that's when their child was conceived. And that's also when he broke things off with her and told her that he didn't want to be with her and he didn't want their child. And then she pretty much told him, okay, well, you can go and I'll move to California. So, it's just a bunch of drama, to be honest. And I think that's why her channel has thrived to this point, because that just sounds like some soap opera crap, to be honest. It really does. They got this random love child and the child has special needs, and then you're exploiting the child. Like I said, if he even has special needs at this point, because we don't really even know. She could be literally lying about that just to get money, which is really awful if that's the case, because you're trying to make it seem like he's a super genius, but at the same time, he's not fully potty trained. How does that work? And how come people are just commenting in her comment section, just saying things like, oh, you're such a great mom, I'm here to support you, girl, and da 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 da. It's I swear, this is the one thing I don't really like about our people, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Sometimes I feel like Black people look at skin tone alone and think, I'm just going to support you just because you're Black. Even though your life is crap, your principles are crap, the fact that you're just a liar, a cheat, a whore, essentially, they're just going to overlook all that because you're a Black woman, you're a queen. We need to stop all of that. We really need to stop that whole queendom, just assigning it to anyone at this point who's Black and female. No, actually have traits that are admirable. Actually have traits about you that don't make you look like a psychopath. 8 years later, you're still talking about that same dude Now you're trying to make it seem like his kid has got all these special needs. You're looking for donations to help you keep a roof over his head, to help with his autism needs and stuff like that. And like I said, I got no problem. If he really has autism, for those that feel the need, donate. But you're lying on your kid at this point and you're exploiting him. Because what is the point of this video? What is the point of saying all of this about your kid, contradicting yourself in seconds? I mean, we went on and let her talk for a minute. She told us that he speaks 7 languages, but then he was just nonverbal a year ago. And this is just it's insane to me that people are allowed to just get online and just say whatever they want, and then people are just like, well, donate. Like, what? But we'll skip ahead a little bit. Let's start at like the 1 hour mark and see if we see anything of interest that she's talking about. Maybe she can redeem herself. Let's see.
She for me. I'm not worried about her. She live by herself. She doing. Why would we be homeless then? Do y'all know why I ended up living in my car? Do you know person Willie 1986? Do you know how I ended up moving in my car? Do you know what happened that caused her to go move with him? Because I know I had to say this in a live stream before. I know it. Because the question that you're asking me doesn't make any sense. It's like, why would I be worried about us? We live separate lives. You know what I mean? We don't live the same. We're not back in like this loop of me trying to convince her to do the right thing and us arguing over what she would be doing. No, we're gonna do what I want to do, or hit the road. You know what I'm saying? If it's not going to be in a position. See, before I was letting her do what I thought.
And I'll just give a little background because some of you don't even know who this lady is, so you don't know all the backstory. Right now, she's talking about her daughter. So she's got the 7-year-old son, but she also has a grown daughter who I think is 23 or something like that, who moved out at one point because they were in another hotel and somehow they lost it. And Sansaray, her daughter, her mom, her son, her dog, all ended up living in the car, like a small car. And again, that's really unfortunate. I'm sorry that happened to them, but then the car got repossessed and her daughter had to move somewhere. So she went and lived with some guy, her boyfriend at that time. And I guess it says she left her boyfriend. And then this person is saying, you're not worried that you two will end up homeless again? Well, probably not, seeing as how people keep donating to her, which is not really a bad thing when you think about it, because I would not want to see her son without a home. That's a no-go for me. The kid definitely needs a roof over his head. Whether I think her reasons for coming online and saying what she is are warranted, I may not agree with it. I think she's a liar, and that doesn't make her a shining star in my world. But at the same time, her son doesn't deserve to be living in no car, and he certainly doesn't need to be living on a street. And so if it means, she needs to be in somebody's hotel and people need to help her do it, or the government or whoever is going to help her do it, help her do it. And right now we're giving her a review, which helps her channel. And like I said, if you want to go ahead and click on her video, you can watch the whole thing if you want to. That'll help her channel too. So that's our support. I don't want to see anybody homeless, and certainly not a child. But her daughter, like I said, 20-something years old. So her being homeless, not a good thing, but not necessarily her fault either. I'm not going to lie, because when I was in my early 20s, I didn't have a place either. I was living with either my parents, or after a while, I started a serious relationship, and then I was living with my boyfriend who had his own apartment at the time. So, it's not unusual for a young 20-something-year-old girl to not have a home of her own. So I'm not judging her, but I kind of am judging her, because if you're going to have children in the world, you kind of need to have a roof for them, and not just a hotel, because that's obviously a temporary living space. You need to be working on getting a home, like an actual rooted to the ground house, not apartment, house, just because you have kids. Point blank period. They're always going to need a place sometimes, especially until they get to a certain age. You don't want them to be like you, do you?
She wanted to do, and because she needed to see, the man, I gotta tell the story again. Do I really gotta tell the story again? Don't really gotta tell the story again. I was never using her for her money before. See, this be the shit right here. When y'all post shit like this, okay, where are your proof and receipts that I was using my daughter for her money? What money? What magical money did my daughter have that I was using her for? Go ahead. Explain to me what magical money.
These people are eating her up with the comments. The one person said, "Oh well, it's good she left her boyfriend. Now she can, you can use her for her money again." And the next person said, "Well, you said before that she left you because she was tired of living in a car with you, a dog, and her brother," which you can totally understand. I mean, nobody wants to live in a car. Certainly not with their mom, a dog, and their special needs brother. That just sounds like a rough situation. I'm surprised she didn't lose custody of that baby boy at the time, because that's just inappropriate. That's just inappropriate. If you don't have a roof over your head, I'm sorry, but you should not have had custody of your child. That obviously went under the radar, and it just goes to show you that he doesn't have a lot of people that care about him. Like, obviously his dad doesn't. His dad clearly doesn't care nothing about him, because all he wants to do is send her a check and that's it. You know, he probably doesn't want to deal with her, and I get that, but at the same time, it's like, you know, kind of bold that you would just have a kid in the world that you don't care what the heck happens to him. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be me. It wouldn't be me. And I just hope he can sleep at night knowing that your kid was homeless and he's special needs.
Money I was using my daughter for. Where was she getting all this money? So you mean tell me my daughter was balling out of control as a pizza manager, a manager at a pizza place? Where was the money? Where was the money that I was using my daughter for?
Oh, and it almost sounds like she's kind of down on her daughter at this point. Oh, she was just balling out of control, huh? As a pizza manager. Well, ma'am, to be honest, that doesn't sound like a lucrative form of income, but it probably is more than what you were making at the time and what you're making now, seeing as how you're like begging people online to keep you in this hotel room. I mean, at least she had a source of income. Where was your source of income? Begging people for money? Living off of the government assistance? Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you were taking care of her. Where's your proof that you were paying her bills? I'm pretty sure she was contributing, because you ain't got nothing. You know, and I'm pretty sure your son's checks, if he gets disability checks, which he might because he's special needs, I'm sure you're using those for your personal needs and keeping a roof over your head and your food and your glasses and your wigs and all of that too. I'm pretty sure you are. Like, don't try to sound so proud. I mean, clearly you were asking your kid for help, even if you were just using her as a babysitter at some point.
How could I use my daughter for money when we living in a car? Think about what you're saying. If she had all this money, why would we be living in a car? If I could use her for money, why would we living in a car? I think y'all don't be thinking.
You know what the problem is? She didn't mention this in this video, but I'll go ahead and say it. They live in Northern California. So part of the reason that you guys are barely making it is because you're living in one of the most affluent areas in the United States. It's super expensive to be in California. Why don't you just move somewhere cheaper? Like, is that not an option? Save some money and get out of that state. Go to a state where things are half the price of where they are there, a quarter of the price of where they are there.
You think about what you posted. My daughter was never in a position to be able to be used for money. She's never made more money than me. Even with her working at the pizza place, I was working the same amount of money, making the same amount of money, doing like DoorDash.
Perhaps.
She said she left. She said she left because she was having anxiety and she didn't want to live in a car anymore, and she felt like she was holding me back because I was no longer doing content. And she known me to always do content. And so she pulled me away from doing my content. So she felt like by her being around us, she was holding me and her brother back. So she went to go live with this dude. That's what she said. I don't know, but that's what she said. I mean, she did that on her own. All I said is, we both had money. Either one of us could have paid for centers. Like, me and my daughter are not one of those people that be like, so which one of us gonna pay for this? It don't matter. Like, one of us gonna pay for it. It don't matter. So when we went to see centers, I already had money. I'd already got my Facebook check. So even if it was me that would pay for centers, it's a movie ticket. It's not a motherfucking. It's a movie ticket.
You know what? I think I'm done. I'm not here to go over the nitty gritty, petty pennies that they may be spending here and there. That's none of my business. I really don't care. I'm pretty sure you guys feel the same way. I highlighted the part that I had the issue with, and that was simply the beginning where she said, my son speaks all these different languages, and then within the same breath said, oh, by the way, he was also nonverbal until last year. So at what point did you, as a struggling mom in a hotel, have time to teach him all these languages that you obviously don't even speak? So where he just get it out of thin air? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he just repeats things that he's heard. Well, then that's not speaking a language. Anybody can repeat a sentence. I can look up something German and say that sentence, right? I could look up a Spanish sentence, a Japanese sentence, a French, freaking Portuguese. It doesn't matter. I can look up a sentence that is in another language and I can say it the way it's supposed to be said. That doesn't mean I speak that language. That just means that I looked up that sentence and repeated what I heard. Now, if he's affluent in it and he's able to comprehend and understand what other people are saying in all those different languages, then that's a different story. And maybe you should be a little more open and honest with your talking, because you're saying things in a way that are just grandiose. Like, you're trying to make it seem like this kid's some kind of Rain Man. And I'm just telling you to stop, because it's going to work against you if you're trying to convince people that he's autistic and he needs support. I'm just saying. You guys tell me what you think about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're here. And leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. And that blue heart. And I'll see you around.